Hey guys, welcome back to our channel where we talk about finances, credit, and just anything wholesome that we want to share with you guys. This is the place to do that. So again, thanks for tuning in again. Today, we're going to talk about how to make passive income with your credit cards. So if you want to make money, but you don't have the time, or you work a 9 to 5, but you just want a little bit more to supplement what you already have, I think this is a great way for you to do that. How we can make money from credit cards is really simple. It's a term called trade lines. So if you're not familiar with trade lines, I do have another video that goes into depth onto what is a credit card trade line, how does it help you, how does it help the other person. So if you get a chance, go check out the video. Authorized users are essentially trade lines. So every credit card gives you a set number of authorized users that you can add people to. So for example, if you have a Capital One credit card, you might have 5 or sometimes even unlimited number of people that you can add as authorized users. And so what happens is you have all these slots available and you can add people to those slots, and that way they can reap the benefits of, you know, the perfect payment history, the age of your credit card, the high credit limit that your credit card might have. So really simple. The higher the credit limit that you have, so let's say you have a credit card that's, you know, $10,000, or maybe you have a credit card that's 20, 30, 40, the higher that limit is, the more money you can charge the person, right? Also, the age of the credit card plays a big role in it as well. So if your credit card is, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, that obviously is going to be a credit card that it's a little bit more valuable than one that's been open, you know, within the last year. So keep that in mind, and maybe keep a mental note as to, you know, what credit cards you have you might want to use and how old they are and how high the credit limit is. That's the biggest thing to keep in mind. The process usually takes between 1 to 2 months. So generally it's 2 months. So you would add the person as an authorized user on your credit card for 2 months, and then after 2 months, you would just simply remove them, right? Some people want to stay on there for longer so that they can, you know, have more time to apply for whether it be a car loan, a home loan, whatever it is that they need to do. Then you would charge them an extra fee to stay on there past the 2 months. But generally speaking, it's a 2-month process, right? Now, the type of credit cards that you can use for authorized users are generally like Capital One, Wells Fargo, Citibank, maybe Federal is a good one as well. The not so good one is American Express. Now, American Express is an amazing credit card. I have a couple of those. However, when you add someone to an authorized user on your American Express card, it doesn't show up and give them all the history and all the age associated with the card. So it shows up on their credit as like a brand new credit card, like they just opened it. So it actually defeats the purpose of, you know, adding them, because they're not gonna get all the benefits that you get from, you know, a Wells Fargo card, a Bank of America credit card, and such. So also keep that in mind. Now, to get started, let's say you want to do that, right? You have a couple credit cards already that you think you can use. Now, the biggest requirement is you have to have perfect payment history on these cards so that you can get started, right? So if, you know, in 2020, when the pandemic was going on, maybe you missed 1 or 2 payments, that would be a credit card that I wouldn't use. Why? Because those late payments are going to show up on the person's credit report. And obviously you don't want that, right? They don't want that because they want perfect payment history to boost their credit, right? So generally speaking, the people who are looking to buy these type of authorized user lines are people who, you know, have cleaned up their credit, or people who don't have any credit at all, right? And they just need a little bit of a boost. They need something that will take them over the top so that they can, you know, get financed and, you know, get a credit card on their own, or buy a home, or buy a new car, or get that, you know, line at AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever it is. So generally speaking, you want perfect payment history. So you've never been late with payments. That's one of the biggest requirements if you are looking into selling your authorized user slots, right? The process is, it's really simple. Like, it's extremely simple. You can call the credit card company and say, hey, I have, you know, someone that I want to add as an authorized user on my card, and they're generally going to ask you for, you know, their name, most likely their social. You need their social because that's what's going to link them to the credit report, right? That's what's going to show up on their credit report. Sometimes they don't need the social. I know that like Wells Fargo, they don't generally ask for that, but they do ask for, you know, their date of birth, name as it appears on their driver's license, so that way they can link them to their credit report. Or even easier, without calling, because I don't like calling banks. I don't know about you, but I don't like being on hold. I like mobile apps. Apps are my friend. So every app that you have for your credit card, generally speaking, has the option to add an authorized user to it. So if you go into the credit card and you go to like settings and maybe you mess around with all the different options available, you'll find it section that says add authorized user. And so you click on there, you add the person's name, you add their date of birth, you add their social if it does ask for it, and literally instantly they're added as an authorized user. So keep that in mind. You don't even have to call the bank. Now, the trade line itself will show up on the person's credit in less than 10, 15 days. So sometimes it can show up in as little as 11 days, sometimes even sooner. So So what you want to keep in mind is your billing cycle. So depending on when your billing cycle starts, then that would be the perfect time to add the person. So you would want to add the person, 2-3 days before your next billing cycle. So that way their credit report will reflect that credit card sooner than later. And so it's a very quick, easy process. It doesn't take much time. And like I said, it's generally speaking 2 months worth of keeping someone on there, and then you can just take them off after. Okay, so a question that I get a lot, and at first when we started selling trade lines, we were concerned about risk, right? Like a lot of people are like, well, they're going to be on my credit card. Are they going to have access to my money? Are they going to be able to, have access to my personal information? And the answer is absolutely not. I would never get in a business where my money was in the hands of someone else that I, just met, or someone who I don't really trust, right? So I wanted to make sure before going into this business that I had, a foolproof model where I wouldn't get hurt, right? And so we want to make sure that you don't get hurt. So basically, it's essentially risk-free. Why? When you add someone to your credit card, whether you're on the phone, calling the bank, adding them to the line, they're going to ask you for their address, right? Because they're going to send them a credit card. So that way they can use the credit card and, make payments or, buy things of that nature. But what you're going to do, and what we do, is we add our address. So when they ship the card comes to our address. And so when we receive that card with the person's name and such, I simply just put it away, tear it up, throw it in the garbage, because it's never going to be used, right? The person is never going to actually have this physical card. They won't have access to my money. They won't have access to my personal info. Even if they call the credit card company saying, hey, I want information on this main line, the bank is basically going to tell them, I'm sorry, you're only an authorized user. I need the primary account holder to call in to give us a password. So essentially they couldn't get into the account. Okay, so that's for everybody out there who has, the idea of wanting to make a little bit of extra money, but are scared because they think that people are going to use their money. They're not. They don't have access to your money at all. They are simply just reaping the benefits of, the perfect payment history that you've made over the years, or the high credit limit. Maybe you have a really high credit card limit of, 10, 15, 20,000, or it's simply just a very old credit card, 10, 15, 20 years. And that person essentially is paying for you to have that information transferred over to them so that their credit score can have a little bit of a boost. Again, these are people who need just a boost. These aren't people who, have a ton of collection items on their credit, because it makes no sense to add, a trade line when you have collections, charge-offs, and all these things. So it's a very specific type of person that would generally be wanting to add, trade lines to their credit. Pretty much, we have clients that need these trade lines, right? And so we have a ton of trade lines available for them, but sometimes these slots get filled up, right? And, you have, 2 people that might want to be added to our Wells Fargo card, and that card might have already been used up, and, we can't sell it at the time. So we're always looking for people who want to make extra income by selling their trade lines, right? So we can connect you with those people. We would be like the middle person, right? We find the people that want the trade lines, and then we have you, the person who wants to sell the trade line, and then we connect you so that way you can make extra money and they can reap the benefits of having the credit score boost. So if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about how to get started, if you meet that criteria, if you have a credit card that, it has perfect payment history, have a card that has a high credit limit, if you have a card that's really old and you want to get started, but you really don't know how and you're kind of scared, you know what, guys, send us a comment. We have our IG page set up. You can always send us a DM. The IG will be down in the link below. We also have an email. You can email us. We also have a Facebook. You can send us a Facebook message, Facebook comment, and basically, just say, hey, you know what? I saw your video. I'm interested in being a broker and selling my trade lines. How do I get started? And basically what we would do is we would just assess you, and we would assess the card and make sure that we can actually use it. And depending on the type of card, the age, the limit, then we would give you a price. We'd say, hey, you know what? We can charge X amount for this card. And once, we have a client of ours who wants to use this credit card, then we would give you a percentage of that, right? We would make it fair so that way you can make money and the person can be happy with the credit boost that they would get. So again, very, very easy. Any questions, hit us up. We're always here. So thanks for watching. Again, thank you so much. And if you have any questions or anything, just hit us up. Peace.